Hey everybody, it's Jono from Seneca here. Thanks for joining this live stream. Today we are doing GCSE Biology Paper 2. You guys have been great. You've been chucking your requests in all day on the chat, so thank you for doing that. It's allowed me to structure this a little bit better. How is everyone feeling about the exam tomorrow? How have all your exams gone so far? And it's nice to see everybody back in the room. And we got the gong. Hey Hugo, hey guys. I put a little bit of a plan of what we're going to be doing today in the description, based on the request that came in. So 5 minutes for intro and questions, then we're going over some hormonal coordination. We're doing some big requests to go over the menstrual cycle and reproductive hormones, so we'll be doing that. Then some DNA and genetics practice questions. Then we're going over some predicted questions for deforestation and speciation. So we've got some ecology. I know Jono has a plan. Can you believe it? But don't worry, I'll still be my normal kind of weird self. And then we're going to do some questions and at the end for anything like that. For those of you who are joining after, speed this up to ×2, whiz through it, and just skip to the sections that you need. And I would say this would be for higher. And yes, we have some practice questions coming up for DNA and for ecology. Now, I want to get through as much as we can. So let us dive straight in. We're starting with hormonal coordination. So I will just share my screen with you guys, and then we'll go over some endocrine goodness. I freaking love the endocrine system. It's so interesting. So I'm really excited to go over it. And the two systems you need to know about are endocrine and nervous system. And if we have time at the end, I've got some, oh my gosh, I'm sharing my screen, but it looks freaking weird. I don't know. I want to stop and just do that again, because that looked whack. Okay, that looks better. That looks better. Okay, we're cooking with gas. I'll keep on checking the, what's it called? The cute little comments. And let us go. Let us go. Is everyone excited? Is everybody ready? Hormonal coordination in humans, hypercram. And this is mainly for AQA, for those of you asking. Let us go. So, hormonal coordination, we're going to talk over a bunch of different homeostasis mechanisms. First, we're going to go over glucose. Glucose is essential for life, and we need to monitor blood glucose between a range of 4 to 7 millimoles normally to keep us healthy. If glucose gets too high, we get hyperglycemia, which can lead you to fall into which can just be really dangerous. And hypoglycemia is when you don't have enough glucose and you can fall into a coma if your blood sugar is too low. So honey, we got to control our blood glucose. So that is what hormonal control is important for. Use your word, Jono. It's all good. So we need glucose for respiration, and we can control blood glucose through insulin and glucagon. So insulin is what we release so imagine you're having a big old bag of Haribo. Your blood sugar is going to shoot up, and then boom, insulin is released from the pancreas. Now the pancreas, super freaking cool organ. It is both endocrine and exocrine. So endocrine function means that it releases insulin. It releases insulin. It's a hormone. But exocrine, if you remember, the pancreas also makes digestive enzymes. So it's got two functions. It's a super cool organ. We release insulin from the pancreas. The liver and muscle tissues detect the presence of insulin and convert the glucose into glycogen. If you're talking about this in an exam question, you want to be using words like negative feedback, homeostasis, endocrine. All those keywords are what's going to get you those marks, okay? Boom, negative feedback loop. That's going to get a nice little gong. Oh, the thing is attached to the gong. That's new. Bam. Love that. Negative feedback. So, next, we're going to talk about, so in response to high glucose levels, which hormone do we release? Shout out in the chat, please. Love that. So glucose is while I'm waiting for the answers, well done. It's insulin, really good. So glucose is just a sugar, so it's where we get our energy from. So when you're eating your Haribo and it's tasting already sweet, that's because there's sugar in it, and our body uses the sugar, glucose, for energy, okay? Great job on the chat. Insulin, that's what we use. And which two tissues respond to glucose in the blood? Which two organs? Really important. Or it could be also like the sugar could come from an apple. It doesn't have to be Haribo. Let's be healthy. Yeah, so glucose is just a kind of sugar. We're loving this chat. Yep, the liver, one more. It's the muscle. Really good. Liver and muscle are the two tissues that respond to excess glucose in the blood. We store glucose. This is a higher level thing to know. Glucose is stored as glycogen, okay? So that's how we store glucose. Plants store glucose as starch. So glucose is what makes up starch, for those of you who are asking about glucose. So remember muscle and liver responds to insulin. Love it. So, okay, this was a requested one. Someone requested this at like 10 p.m. last night when I made like the live stream event. And I'm just like, we're going over the menstrual cycle because you are committed. You really want to go over these hormones. So we're going to go over it. So menstrual cycle, monthly cycle, which involves the maturation and release of an egg or ovum. The menstrual cycle is controlled by 4 hormones. FSH, estrogen, LH, and progesterone, okay? Now, if you're pushing for like 7 to 9s, I'm going to talk a little bit about the hypothalamic pituitary axis, which sounds super scary, but basically the hypothalamus controls the release of LH and FSH from the anterior pituitary gland. So the hypothalamus releases a hormone called GnRH, and that causes the release of FSH and LH. And the reason that they do that is it allows a bit of extra control in the system. So that's like maybe really around that if you're pushing for like a 7 to 9 high level topic, they could ask a like mean question on it. But let's go through these 4 little hormones. Yep, hypothalamus also controls core body temperature. I love it. And it is really freaking hot in here. It's so hot. I even brought a freaking fan in here today because it's so hot in this room, and the AC in the building is broken. So it's just a lot to deal with right now. Okay, so let's go over these hormones. So FSH is follicular stimulating hormone, and it's released by the pituitary gland and it causes an egg in the ovary to mature. I love it. And it also stimulates the production of estrogen. With these hormones, it's really important to remember which one each of them like stimulates, okay? Then estrogen, so FSH causes the release of estrogen and it's produced in the ovaries. So FSH and LH are produced in the pituitary. Estrogen, that's coming from the ovaries. And it causes the development of a thick, spongy uterus lining. It also stimulates the production of LH and inhibits the production of FSH. Now, this is a really good example of a negative feedback loop because bam, that FSH is going to be like, hey, estrogen, you need to get made. So like FSH stimulates estrogen to be released. And then estrogen's like, yo, I'm happy to be here, but I don't want there to be too much estrogen. So FSH, I'm going to inhibit you so there isn't too much estrogen. Negative feedback, maintaining a constant internal milieu or environment. Milieu is just like a fancy way of saying environment. I'm getting prepped for the English language live stream after this, using my vocab. Okay, so which system are the hormones involved in controlling menstruation a part of? Which system is it? Get in it. So it's either going to be really good. Yep, it is the endocrine system. Amazing. Really, really good, Holly. In there with that endocrine. Boom, boom, boom. Okay, so just dropped my fan. So LH, luteinizing hormone, is produced by the pituitary gland. It stimulates the release of a mature egg on day 14. So LH goes with ovulation, okay? So I'm ovulating, let's go. Progesterone, this is the other one we want to talk about, and it's also produced in the ovaries. So estrogen, progesterone, that's produced in the ovaries. LH, FSH, that is in your pituitary gland. And the hypothalamus controls the release of LH and FSH. A little bit of extra knowledge for you. So progesterone, it maintains that uterus lining. It's like getting ready for the cute little like baby to like implant or whatever. So progesterone, it maintains the lining of the uterus from days 14 to 28. And when progesterone levels drop, this causes the breakdown of the lining, and that's menstruation, okay? And progesterone is going to inhibit LH and FSH. So that's another negative feedback loop. So when you're talking about endocrine systems and homeostasis, always think about negative feedback. And biology examiners love keywords. Oh my gosh. So make sure you get them in, okay? Yeah, great knowledge, Eleanor. Like progesterone is produced by the placenta during pregnancy because we need to maintain that uterine lining during pregnancy. So that could be another question that they chuck in. Okay, so the hypothalamus is in the brain, for those of you asking. So that was just a nice quick run through. Oh, we're gonna go over some contraception too. How are we doing for time? I'm gonna try and like stick to my little timings. So until 10 past, we had hormonal coordination. So we can come back to contraception if we want, but DNA and genetics questions were super requested. So we are moving on to DNA and genetics 1 to 2 markers. Quick contraceptives, you've got progesterone-only pill, combined pill, contraceptive patch, injection, and then intrauterine devices. Okay, so DNA and genetics 1 to 2 markers. So a little bit of bio, like what is it? Oh my God, who is? Oh, it's Richard, guys. It's Richard. Hey, is he? Oh, I thought he was coming in to say hi. Good, he's not interrupting my stream. So what do we call the monomers that DNA are made of? Who can, not peptides, peptides is for proteins. Really good, Nicole. Yeah, Nicole, awesome. Nucleotides, love that. So what are the 3 components of nucleotides in DNA strands? You guys are killing it. Yes, tomorrow, boom, boom, boom. Richard will be back later, don't worry, he'll be back. So 3 components of nucleotides in DNA strands. What are we thinking? What are we feeling? Love it. We've got a base, we have a phosphate, and we have a sugar. If you want to be really specific, it's a pentose sugar. If you want to be even more specific, that pentose sugar is called deoxyribose. Bam. And in RNA, it's ribose. Bam. Yes, this is higher for those of you asking. Guys, killing it on the questions. I'm loving it. Bam, bam, bam. Little gong for all of y'all. So how do bases pair up? What are the possible base pairs? Do you guys know? Possible base. I love that you have a PhD in biomedical science here, still watching this. Really good. You guys are killing it. So it's A with T and C with G. The way I remember that is like AT is like, if you switch it around, it's TA and then it's like ta. And then you can go sugu. That's a really bad way to remember it, but I just say ta sugu. And that's how I remember it, whatever. So if you want to know how those bases are held together, it is by hydrogen bonding. That's like super higher, like crazy stuff. But hydrogen bonds is how those bases come together. That's like getting into like ASA level territory, so I'll spare you. I'll stop myself. Biology just gets me so excited. So next we're talking about cystic fibrosis. So it's a type of inherited disorder that causes thick, sticky mucus to build up in the lungs and digestive system. It's actually a mutation in a chloride ion channel. So it's a chloride ion channel that you find in cell membranes. And it codes for a protein that involved in the transport of water. It's that chloride ion channel. It's a recessive allele, so 2 types of allele, dominant and recessive. An allele is just a different version of the same gene. So like brown-eye gene and blue-eye gene, they're alleles of each other. Now we're gonna go over a Punnett square and some like monohybrid inheritance. Ooh. So monohybrid just means one, so you've got one, like we're just focusing on one gene. So this is a hybrid cross. So if you see that word written down, don't panic. It just means one is one hybrid. You're crossing them together, and it's a cross because they make people angry. No, it's because you're going like, you're pairing them up. So we always give a dominant allele the capital letter and the recessive allele the lowercase letter. So we have homozygous parents. So big F, little f, big F, little f. And we want to know what is 1 in 4. Oh my God, I hadn't even asked the question yet. And you guys were in there. I love it. Okay, so next question. So the question is, if two parents had 4 children, how many would suffer from cystic fibrosis? What would be the answer? So this is a so I'm glad. We can't say for certain. So this is a trick question. This is a mean one. If it comes up in your exam, don't fall for it because this is just a probability. We'll never know for certain. There's a 25% chance that one would have cystic fibrosis, but we can't say for certain. So even if They could have 4 children and none of them could have cystic fibrosis. They could have 4 children and all of them could suffer from cystic fibrosis. It's all in probabilities, okay? And good job, well done for everyone who got that right. Really, really good. The chats are coming in fast. I'm doing my best to, whoever got it first, you get a nice soft gong. Okay, so 2 methods used to clone plants. Hit me up. How do we clone plants? 2 methods. Sometimes my housemates do this when they want to make more plants for the house. Let's go. So I would say I'm going to start us off with cuttings. Love that. So that's a nice way to share plants, and plants like, I wish there was a plant in this room. It's pretty dingy. Maybe I'll get one. And tissue culture. Yeah, you guys got it. We are jumping all around the topics and you're just like not even phased. You're like, yeah, I know this, whatever. Next, we're going to go over a little bit of cloning. How are we doing on the little sketch? Okay, we're going to go through cloning real quickly, and then we're going over some predicted questions for ecology, because I want to go over all the units that could come up tomorrow. So cloning is an effective technique for preserving endangered species. Canada Science, you can read that. What's a mutation, guys? Who can tell me what a mutation is? I'm glad Spanish went well. For whoever is talking about Spanish, Francisco, well done. So the a mutation is a permanent change in the nucleotide sequence of DNA. And yeah, change in the base sequence, really, really good. Yes, some of this is getting only into triple science territory. So if you're doing combined science, like, don't worry too much. A lot of what we're going will be useful, but the extra stuff we go over, it's handy to know because it could be like a 7 to 9 question. So it's all good. Right, okay, next we're going to go over some predicted questions for, I want to do some like high yield ecology stuff, so stuff that comes up a lot. So we're going to be doing, it's a good gift, right? That is a good gift. We are going over deforestation and, not cystic fibrosis, deforestation and speciation. So these are some predicted questions from our predicted papers. So deforestation, process of cutting down and removing trees from areas, okay? It's not great. So which of the following are increased causes of increased rates of deforestation? Oh, yes, geography gang. Anyone who's in the geography live stream, we talked about deforestation then. It comes up in lots of different, a multiplicity of GCSE subjects. So things that will do it, clearing land for farming, very good. What else? And planting crops for biofuels, really, really good. That's what you want to remember. Burning forests for energy production, not so much. It's more you cut down trees and you plant biofuels. So Amazon is a large rainforest that covers 9 countries. See, even I learned something in these live streams. Love that. The following table shows how forest cover has changed in Brazil. What's the key trend in the data? Someone was asking about data questions. So we can see the key trend as we go, I would structure your answers to this question as like X changes, this is what happens in Y. So as time goes on, the forest cover has gone down. So the key trend is it decreases. What I would say to make this answer even better, I would include some figures in that. Always include figures in any describe question, okay? There's a point in the mark scheme just for saying that it goes from like 4.1 million in pre-1970 to 3.3 million in 2017. Okay, percentage change. Pretty much guaranteed to come up as a question. So make sure you know how to do it. So we're looking at the percentage change from 2010 to 2017. Now it's always difference divided by the original times by 100. That's how we calculate percentage change. So you get the difference between the two figures, you divide it by the original figure and you times it by 100. So in this example, the difference is, I'm not going to say that number because that number is long and we got another 10 minutes to get through. So the difference is like 42K, and then we do 42K divided by the original number, so the 3.3 million one. We times it by 100, and then we get 1.27%. Amazing. So, and yes, I freaking love biology. For those of you who are shouting it out, I love it. It's one of my faves. I studied science at uni, so boom, science, what? So human interference with ecosystems can have negative impacts on their function. Yeah, they can. Human plot twist, human interference can ruin lots of things. Apart from deforestation, which of the following ways can humans have negative impacts on eco-science? Yes. So shout out the answers in the chat. Let me know. How else? How else can human activity? Yep, global warming, straight in there with that. And destroying peat bogs. That's what we do. So Madagascar is well known for high numbers of rare species, and it's also a great film. Love that film. And they want to maintain biodiversity. We always want to maintain biodiversity. So what are 2 ways in which you can maintain biodiversity? So we can start breeding programs to increase the number of rare species. So breeding programs, great. Rare species, we love it. The government could create protected areas to protect wildlife from further destruction. So 2 things that you can say in pretty much any maintain biodiversity question is you want breeding programs to increase the individuals of rare species, and bam, you want protected areas of further destruction. And you guys were so good in the chat. I'm so proud of you, doing so well, answering all these questions. You're gonna be absolutely amazing in the biology exam tomorrow. So well done. You've clearly been working hard and you clearly know your stuff. Well done. Okay, quick run through of a speciation question, because I think this will be a good topic to go over. It can come up sometimes. And then we will end off with some questions. And I've also got some quick sign up questions, because that was requested just before the stream. So when can 2 populations? Yeah, of course you can. Boom, we haven't gonged enough in this one. So which 2 populations are no longer, when are 2 populations no longer considered the same species, is when they cannot interbreed to produce fertile offspring. You have to use the word interbreed, fertile, and offspring in your answer. Use those 3 words and you'll get the mark. Maybe you'll even get 2 marks. Oh, you're welcome. So now we're talking about Norfolk Island robins, and they live off Norfolk Island off the coast of New Zealand, not Norfolk in England. They are thought to have decreased from an ancestral population of North Island robins, which live on New Zealand's North Island. That was a lot to take in. So this is a good example of a longer answer question. You're going to want to be writing these in sentences. And we want to know how speciation occurs. So when you're talking about speciation, you want to be saying things like the populations are separated by the sea. So this is geographical isolation. And in each population, new mutations and genes arise. So whenever you have 2 populations separate, over time, mutations are going to accumulate. So the environment conditions in the 2 different parts of the island are different. So there are different selection pressures. Another key word you want to be using. And natural selection acts differently on the 2 separate populations. So the islands are separated. They're separated by each other by the sea. One side of the island will have different conditions to the other, so they're exposed to different things. One side could be warm, the other side could be cold. So like the ones on the cold side, they're gonna have like a really nice thick fur coat. They're gonna be looking great and fly. Whereas on like the hot side, they're gonna be like, nah, I'm gonna have like a little tea vest of feathers. So they're gonna be at different conditions, different selection pressures, so different mutations will be favorable. So mutations, alleles, whatever. So eventually 2 populations will become so different that they can't interbreed successfully. That was a lot. That was a lot. This room is so warm. Okay, so it's heavily predated in its habitat. Pray for the North Island robin, justice for the North Island robin. So we've got some nice little photos. So this is a nice like suggest question. So this is pushing in the like 7 to 9 territory. And we want to suggest how they are adapted. So who can tell me how it is adapted to how it's adapted, how the North Island robin is adapted to its function? Who can let me know? So some of them are, it's got speckled feathers. So it's got good camouflage. Look at that little speckle. No one's going to see that North Island robin. So these are the kind of things you want to be talking about when you're asked to suggest different adaptations. Think about what any kind of bird is going to want to do and want to be. It's going to be camouflage from its predators. So look, nice little speckled feathers. So it's less likely to be seen by the predator. Boom, what a great little adaptation. I love it. Other things that could come up with, so like they could have a different beak shape, and that could be an adaptation to the food available, that kind of stuff. And yes, robins are so adorable, so cute. And we're done, nice. Okay, so we have a nice little 5 minutos left. And someone was asking for some synapse and some nerve questions. So your wish is my command when I have the time, which we do, so that's great. So we are going to go over some nervous system 1 to 2 markers, and it's going to be so much fun. Yes, I use the word cute a lot. It's one of my favorite adjectives. I will start using synonyms. It's fab, it's adorable, it's great, it's nice. So synapses play a central role in the functioning of the nervous system. Yeah, they do. So which of the following diagrams is correctly labeled? Who can shout out? Oh my gosh. Which diagram is correct in the ones here? So key things with synapses, you want to be thinking about receptors, neurotransmitters, okay, so we're getting 4. Okay, it's not 4. It was this one. It's okay, it happens. So the key thing is we've got receptors. Receptors are on the post-synaptic membrane. So that's the one after the synapse. A neurotransmitter is what we find in the pre-synapse, okay? So that is what you need to remember. Neurotransmitter is always going to be in the bit before the synapse, and the receptors are always after the synapse. And the neurotransmitter, they're in little vesicles. I nearly said cute little vesicles, but I stopped myself for you guys because I'm going to use different adjectives. So synapse is a junction between the neurons. And what's the name of the molecules that are exclusively used to transfer information across the synapse? It's going to be a neurotransmitter. So this includes stuff like, so acetylcholine is a really important one. Other ones include noradrenaline. And then in the brain, neurotransmitter includes stuff like serotonin. So that's also a neurotransmitter. And they're all released at synapses, and bam, you guys absolutely nailing it. Neurotransmitters. Well done, you got a question right. Tomorrow. Awesome, good job. Okay, so neuromuscular junction, that's a special type of synapse, and it occurs between a neuron and a muscle. So whenever you're moving around, like I was just doing, it's because neurotransmitters are being released as a neuromuscular junction. So which of the following would we expect to be a symptom of a disease that affects the neuromuscular junction? So think about it, neuromuscular junction is where the muscle and the nerve meet. So if we have a, this will not be on, I wouldn't think this would be on a foundation paper. This would be more higher tier, and it's a suggest question, which are more common for 7 to 9 marks. Really good, irregular muscle movements. So there's also a condition that loads of conditions can affect the neuromuscular junction. So if you want some extra reading after this, look up stuff like myasthenia gravis that affects the neuromuscular junction. Only if you're interested in it. You won't need to know it for your exam at all. So humans are able to react to their surroundings and coordinate behavior. So which of the following are reflex reactions? This is going to be the last question because we're approaching 5:30. So which of the following are reflexes? Yep, okay, awesome. Dropping a hot object, sneezing, awesome. One more, and blinking. Really good. See, you guys are doing so good. Well done. So that was a really quick run through of topics. I'm sorry we couldn't do more, but I hope that was a nice, useful run through for everyone. I had fun. I love biology, as you might have been able to tell. So I was having a great time, even though it is really hot in this room, but this fan is helping a lot. So very good luck for your exam tomorrow, everybody. And then biology paper 2 is done. You don't need to worry about it anymore. Unless you're doing it for A-level, then we'll talk. A-level bio is fun, but it's a lot to take in. Best of luck. Stick around 5 minutes. We have an English language live stream, and Rich is going to be joining for that one. We're going over a bunch of fun stuff. And I feel bad if you've got 2 exams tomorrow. Sorry about it. Good luck, everyone. Thank you for joining. And hopefully I will see you in the next live stream. Best of luck, everybody, and thank you for joining. Bye. Going to say goodbye.